by Weirda. And just like that, the Maroons are up by 8, 18-10. Slink, back to serve again for the Maroons. Great tap by the Vikings. The Maroons potentially into the net there, but tipped back by the Vikings. And a great spot for the Vikings, and we'll find that point and give the Vikings an 11-18 score. Serving it up for the Vikings is
number 4.
That was number 4, Ashley Voltma. We have substitution in for the Maroons.
Emily Voss comes in the game for the Maroons, replacing Taylor Streckstra.
So Emily Voss is served for the Maroons with a 19-11 lead in set number 1. Serve is up. Vikings ball. And it is tipped by, I believe that was touched.
It was tipped by Helen Christian out of bounds.
Okay.
So it's Vikings point.
So Natalie McDonald will come in for the Vikings on the substitution. Holland Christian down. And they said the Vikings tipped it. So a great point by the Maroons. I believe that was number 4, Anna York.
It was, yeah.
So
Emma Boyce just came back in the game for Helen.
Sadie Weird, number 11, back to the service line. Serve for the Maroons with them leading 20-12 in set number 1. And a great play by the Maroons. So Sadie Weird will send it back to the line to give them a 21-12 lead in set number 1. And the ball is tipped by the Vikings. I believe that is number 9 for the Vikings. That is Lindsay Bullich. But the point will go to the Maroons of Holland Christian. So Weirda still having the serve.
Yeah, point Helen Christian.
And that sends them 23-12. They are served 1 point away from set.
2 point.
Thank you, Rich. I got to remember my volleyball math here. 2 points away. 21st-25 against the set. And the Vikings struggling to get over the net. And the Maroons are close to taking the first set in game number 1 here at Hopkins High School. So Sadie Weird to serve it up for the Maroons of Holland Christian.
Oh, Weird gets it. She gets it up over. Hopkins gets it back over the net. Point Holland Christian. Holland Christian gets the first set. Final score of Holland Christian 25. Hopkins 12 in the first set of play.
So the Maroons take set number 1 at 25-12, and that gives the Maroons of Holland Christian a 1-set lead going into set number 2. So just a friendly reminder, ladies and gentlemen, the Hamilton Hawkeyes won the game prior to this contest by a final score of Hamilton 3, Wayland 0. In the game on Hamilton, they did have to play the game on Monday night first versus Unity Christian, the counterpart. They had some close sets with Unity from Monday night, 25-18. 25-16 and 27-25 to advance here to Hopkins High School as they played their game on Monday and beat Unity 3-0, and they beat the Wildcats of Wayland 3-0. And like I said in the pregame introduction, we were having a little technical difficulty, so we didn't quite get a pregame show in. But the Hopkins Vikings did advance to this contest versus the Maroons with a 3-0 set win versus the Falcons of Allendale. Set scores from Hopkins and Allendale were 25-18, 25-16, and 25-21. So the Hopkins Vikings did have a couple close connections with the Allendale Falcons, but of course they won and are taking on the visiting Maroons of Holland Christian from beautiful Hopkins High School in the small town of Hopkins, Michigan. Once again, Hopkins, a team to watch out for, though. They are coming in to the OK Silver Conference. They are the champions in the OK Silver with a perfect 9-0 record in the OK Silver. And so they might be, but we will see. Once again, Hamilton wins that game, and it could be either the Hopkins Vikings or the Maroons of Holland Christian taking on those Hamilton Hawkeyes. But first, like I said, Coach Binden and the Maroons have to get through the first game and the Hopkins Vikings, but they did take set number 1, 25-12. For those of you that are just joining us on HE Sports Live and the NFHS Network, Dan Tembrink alongside Rich Nailkirk bringing you an exciting Division II volleyball district contest between the home standing Vikings and the visiting Maroons of Holland Christian. We're just about ready to get things underway in set number 2. Sit back, relax, and strap it down. It's time for set number 2 in Division II girls varsity volleyball. Rich, who's leading off for the Vikings?
Number 5.
So Corey Weiser took the serve for the Vikings, but sadly the Maroons got it back and send it out of about. Peyton Nicholas in for the Vikings and Voss in for the Maroons. And we're going to try to do our best from this vantage point. We are high above the gymnasium here in Hopkins High School.
Nice thing is, I noticed that just now, Hopkins does not actually have a libero. So that's a huge difference right there. And of course, Holland Christian does Ellie Deckinga.
So 1-1 in set number 2 in our Division II semi-final contest. So the Maroons look middle. I think that looks like Lertzma.
Yeah, it was Lertzma.
So a great point by Hannah Lertzma, and that will send number
Sadie Weirda.
11, Sadie Weirda, to the serve line for the Maroons, and Emma Boyce checks back in for Holland Christian.
I believe it was Andrews. It was Boyce, you're right.
And we got a replay on that last play. Great point by the Maroons defensive unit right there in the net to give the Maroons a 3-1 lead in set number 2. Rich, the interesting thing I was looking at prior to doing research for this game, these two teams have some common opponents in together. Both Hopkins and Holland Christian played Zeeland East, and both Holland Christian and Hopkins played Holland. But as you know, both times Holland Christian took care of business versus Zeeland East 2 times, 3-0 each time. And the Hopkins Vikings did beat the Chicks of Zeeland East in a tournament earlier this season. And they also both play Holland High. But so the Maroons do have some common opponents versus the Vikings, but that's the first time this season I believe the Maroons have seen the Vikings of Hopkins. And right now they're taking care of business in set number 2 with a score of 5-1. And they're sending back to the line Sadie Weirda, but the serve goes into the net, so the Vikings will take the serve. McDonald back in for the Vikings, number 9, Lindsey Bullich had the serve. And 5-2 in favor of the visiting Maroons of Holland Christian.
Correction, 6-2.
Thank you, Rich. 6-2. I was
Deckinga sets the serve for Maroon.
looking down at my computer for a note.
Deckinga gets
that.
it over. Deckinga gets it over. Oh. Lurchman gets it over and gets the point for Holland Christian. Deckinga gets it over. Timeout, Hopkins.
So with that, the Vikings of Hopkins will take their first timeout of the second set, and the Maroons lead 7-2. You're watching Division II District Semifinal Volleyball action on the NFHS Network and HC Sports Live. Remember, it's not whether you win or lose, it's how much fun you have after the game. You can join us tonight at your local Applebee's for late night half-price appetizers, Rich. That's right, half-price appetizers. Applebee's, eating good in the neighborhood, your official restaurant of the Michigan High School Athletic Association. And as always, your post-game hangout spot with Dan Tenbrink and Rich Nagelkirk. And man, the HC staff is loading us up, and they got candy, and they're energizing us here. We'd like to thank the HC teachers and staff that came out all the way to Hopkins High School to watch this Division II contest. Man, I'm going to be ready for this set, Rich.
Yeah.
So after the Hopkins timeout, I believe the serve is going to Deckinga. And a great point. I want to see if I can get a number there for the Vikings. I think it's the sub that's coming out right now.
Yeah, it is.
So that is number...
Marinosi sets the service, so.
Thank you, Rich. We're back in action.
Deckinga gets it over the net to Hopkins. Hopkins gets it back to Voss. To Slink. Lurchman gets it over the net to Hopkins. Voss gets it to Slink. To Lurchman. Lurchman gets it back over the net to Hopkins. Hopkins still gets it. Nice block by Holland Christian. Deckinga tries to get off the floor, but no good. Point, Hopkins.
And Rich, just like I said right there on that far side of your screen, that's number 3, Brianna Miller. She's leading the charge for the Vikings this year going into today's contest. And that's the poison that the Maroons have to keep away from in order to keep those points going and take set number 2.
Taylor Sextra is in the game for Emily Voss.
And setting the serve
Lurtzma.
is Lurtzma.
Lurtzma gets it into the net. That's not good.
So 8-5 in favor of the Maroons. Taking the serve for the Vikings. It's number 3. Like I just said, Brianna Miller. Got to watch her. The poison on the team that will very potentially get those points for the Hopkins Vikings. Great execution by the Maroons offensively and defensively, but the standing Vikings find an empty spot and will get the point. And they bring this within a 2-point contest.
Miller is actually serving it, so she's actually in the back row.
So bringing this within 2 points on the set. But the Maroons find the middle. Eventually is out of bounds. And the point will go to Holland Christian. 9-6 in favor
Dyker sets the serve for Helen Christian.
Thank you, Rich, as I bring my Helen Christian roster back up into play.
Gets it over the net to Hopkins. Lurchman gets it. Slink.
Did they call
They called it net on Slink.
So an in the net called by Isabel Slink.
Yeah, number 8 is set to serve for Hopkins.
Wow, that's a doozy of a name. Helderop, number 8. And she's still serving. And this is a 1-point game in set number 2. Like I said, Rich, Coach Benden knew this wasn't going to be an easy contest between the Vikings. And just like that, 9-9 in set number 2. And Rich, you're Coach Benden sitting on the bench right now. What are you trying to think in this contest?
She is actually sitting up. I'm surprised that she usually stands up, but Coach Benden is thinking I might have to take a timeout here soon.
Well, we'll see if Rich is right on that timeout call. The Maroons are leading it currently by 1 point, 10-9. And a great middle hit for the Maroons. Finds that empty gap. Yet again, we're sending it to replay. And just like that, the Maroons middle hit are back for the Maroons with a 2-point lead in today's Division II volleyball action. But the serve goes out of bounds for the Maroons. So that will give the point to the Vikings. I'm not sure who just subbed in for the Vikings.
It was number 5 that served that.
So Weiser served it, but they also had a substitution. And just like that, though, Rich, we have another tie ball game, and the Viking student section making noise as they didn't have to travel for this district.
Number 5 served it over.
Perfect. And Rich, another mistake by the Maroons. And Rich, for the first time this game, the Vikings have taken the lead.
First time in this match.
So we'll wait and see if Coach Benden looks to call a timeout. This isn't that much of a gap, but those Vikings of Hopkins are curling back, and they're leading this 13-11 in set number 2. So set to serve, goes to the Vikings, finally is out of bounds. The line judge calls. So Emily Voss is back to set to serve. And Voss's serve is up and good. And a great play by the Maroons. We send that to replay. And a great. We're going to give that point, I think, was Andrea Sprick, potentially. Was she down there, Rich?
Yeah. Emily Voss sets serve over the net to Hopkins. Hopkins gets it into that point, Helen Christian.
So just like that, the Maroons are back within 1 in this contest.
Maroons are back up by 1.
That's what I meant, Rich. I said Maroons are back in this with 1 point. So, Voss still serving for the Maroons. Hopkins look to get it over on that third ball. There's 1. There's 2. Here comes the hard 3 for the Maroons. Tipped by the Vikings. Back over in Maroon territory. The 2 hit in the middle with a great all-around execution right there by the middle by Sprick, Lertzma, and Weirda. And the point goes to the Maroons. Once again, Emily Voss set to serve. Serve is up. Serve is away. Hopkins maintaining that possession into the net, but a great offensive attack right there by that middle, made up of Sprick Lertzma and Weirda. Great. And Emily Voss set to serve yet again for the Maroons. And
rotation.
We have a rotation violation called against Hopkins. So that will give an automatic point to the Maroons of Howland Christian. And they are up 17-13 in set number 2.
Voss gets it over to Hopkins. Hopkins gets it out of bounds. Howland Christian point.
But a great execution there by the Vikings, Rich, to potentially come back and get some points. But the Maroons are on the lead to take in set number 2, 18-13 in favor of Howland Christian. And they're out of bounds. So the serve will go to the Vikings, number 4. Ashley Boltman, the set serve for the Vikings. Serve is up, serves away into the Howland Christian territory.
Lertzman gets it.
And the Maroons find Lertzma on the side. Christian territory.
Stand by for replay.
And we'll give the point. And the Maroons find Lertzma. And a great play there by Lertzma. Boyce in for the Maroons. And
Weirda sets to serve it.
Set to serve to Weirda. And the Vikings hit it out of bounds. And the Maroons are 5 points away from taking set number 2 in today's Division II semifinal game, and that would give the set score to the Maroons. And they'd be up 2-0, but it's still early, Rich. But the Vikings look Ashley Boltva.
Timeout Hopkins, this is their second timeout.
Vikings. So Coach Terry Weiser will take her second timeout of set number 2. She'll have none remaining. And your set score at the timeout, 21-14 in favor of the Maroons of Howland Christian. You're watching Division II Girls Varsity Volleyball on HC Sports Live and the NFHS Network. Here's a message from your local Meyer. Local sports are the biggest win for our community. They build leaders, teach good sportsmanship, and bring us all together. That's why Meyer goes above and beyond to support hundreds of local teams in the Midwest, including your very own Maroons of Howland Christian. From the little leagues to the big leagues, and from uniforms to stadiums, Meyer knows that when we support the home teams, we all win. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. And we welcome you back inside Hopkins High School. Dan Temmerink alongside Rich Nagelkirk and Dan Voss here on the NFHS Network and HC Sports Live. Terry Weiser had her second timeout. She has none remaining in set number 2. So the serve goes to the Maroons following the timeout. And Maroons maintain the possession right now. But a great attack in the middle. I believe that was number 10. Natasha Terpstra for the Vikings. Number 6, Natalie McDonald came in on the substitution for the Vikings. And number 10, Andrea Sprick, finds the middle for the Maroons. And we'll give them a 22-15. And number 10, Andrea Sprick. So the Hopkins Vikings have possession. Boyce looked, but finds the side.
They say out of bounds on Howland Christian.
So the line judge calls that out of bounds. So that actually gives the point to the Vikings. Number 11, Emma Martinozzi, up set to serve for the Vikings, and she serves into the net. So that will give the Maroons a 23-16 lead in set number 2. Taylor Sykestra in for the Maroons. And who's that set to serve for us, Rich?
Lertzma.
Lortzma finds, and she's one, and the Maroons are 1 point away from taking set number 2 at 24-16. Lortzma to serve. Jim gets quiet. Lortzma finds the Vikings. Vikings going over for the third try. 1, 2. Maroons looking to get it over on the 3. But the Vikings find Deckinga and send her to the floor. And that gives the point to the Vikings. Still match point Holland Christian 24-17. Vikings are up. Maroons looking to get it over on the 3rd. And a great point for the Maroons. And the Maroons of Holland Christian will take set number 2, 25-17. And your set score, the Maroons of Holland Christian 2, the Hopkins Vikings 0. You're watching Girls Division II Volleyball District Semifinal action on the NFHS Network and HC Sports Live. Chocolate milk has essential nutrients every athlete's needs, not typically found in traditional sports drinks. Next time you grab a beverage, whether it's in the lunchroom, out on that volleyball court, or at home, remember to rethink your drink and pick chocolate milk. Chocolate milk, your official beverage of the Michigan High School Athletic Association, and the broadcast team of Dan Tembrink and Rich Nagelkirk. Weirda still having to serve.
Yeah, point Holland Kirk. We're actually taking a look at a couple replays.
So the Maroons look middle.
Second and third set, so.
It was boys, you're right.
Get it over. Deckinga gets it over.
By 1 point.
So once again,
just a friendly reminder, ladies and gentlemen, the
great
winner
middle
of this
hit
contest will get
for
the
the Maroons
Hamilton Hawkeyes tomorrow night here at 7 o'clock on, I don't know why I'm saying on, against the winner of Hamilton here at Hopkins High School. That game set for 7 o'clock. If the Maroons were to win this contest, this game potentially to be broadcasted on the NFHS Network as well as HC Sports Live. The sad news is me and Rich will not be available. We have some prior commitments at Holland Christian Middle School tomorrow night for middle school basketball is actually kicking off. So me and Rich have to run that, but hopefully we'll still have some cameras here and you can watch this game, hopefully, if the Maroons can take this set. And they'll take on their OK Green counterpart, the Hawkeyes of Hamilton, in district action tomorrow night right here at Hopkins High School. Also, do you want to make a difference in a young person's life? High school game officials have the opportunity to help kids learn the game, respect the game, and learn lifetime lessons that will hopefully pass on to the next generation of officials. We always need more officials. To become a registered high school game official, visit the MHSAA website. There's help wanted. Just whistle.
Dan's reading announcements from the script.
Was that from the website?
Yeah, the script.
And we welcome you back inside the gymnasium here at Hopkins High School. Dan Semrink once again alongside Rich Nagelkirk, Dan Voss, and our whole team here on the NFHS Network and HC Sports Live. A very special thank you to Athletic Director Adam Volk here at Hopkins High School for letting us come out tonight and broadcast this game between the Vikings and the Maroons in Division II Girls Volleyball District Semifinal action. Rich, refresh my memory. Going into set number 3, who will take the serve?
Holland Christian will.
So the ball is in the hands of Holland Christian. And Holland Christian will start set number 3. And they are sending Isabel Sling to the line. It's time to sit back, relax, settle down, strap it down. You're watching Division II Volleyball District action on HC Sports Live and the NFHS Network. That's a mouthful. I'll get it one time tonight. But the Maroons take the 1-0 early lead in set number 3. And the Vikings, just like that, I thought were fighting back, but they awarded the point to the Maroons, so the Holland Christians up 2-0. And the Maroons will take the other point, and they take a first 3-0 lead in set number 3.
You want to get the score up?
So that's number, I believe number 5, Isabel Slink, is staying at the service line for the Maroons.
Yeah, she is. And the score's back up.
And we've gotten our scoreboard back up, so this is Isabel Slink serves it over the net, and that's 5 straight points for number 5, Isabel Slink. And Rich, just like that, the Maroons take an early 5-0 lead. That's some 5 power right there, Rich.
Yeah, you just jinxed it.
And I speak too soon. And eventually all good things come to an end. And the Hopkins Vikings will take the serve.
It happens.
But I did just realize.
That's right, you jinxed them too, so.
And it comes back to the Maroons, and Coach Binden sends back Voss to the line to sub in. So that means number 16, Emily Voss, will jump back in to serve for the Maroons of Holland Christian. So Voss is up. Vikings down. Vikings go into the net, get it over on the third, but the Maroon defense unit comes right back, powers it down, Lertzma on the stop, but the Vikings found that empty gap yet again, and the point goes to the Vikings.
You know, McDonald comes into the game for the Hopkins, replacing number 11, Marnosi.
And I believe that's number 3, Brianna Miller to serve? Or is that Natalie McDonald? The ponytail always gets you, Rich.
It's number 3.
From here, it looks like a 3, but on the...
No, it's a number 9.
So, yeah, Natalie McDonald, who subbed in for Martin Nosey, is at the service line. And just like this, Hopkins brings it within 2 points, 6-4. I believe the Vikings went into the net on that one.
No, they actually went over on their side for a point.
So Emma Boyce in.
Sadie Weirdo sets the serve for Holland Christian. Weirdo sets the serve, gets it over the net. Point Holland Christian.
And a great tip there by the Vikings. Let's see if we can get her number. She's
It was number 5.
Close.
It was number 5 that
So
just
that's
got
Weiser, probably a daughter of Terry Weiser, the head coach for the Hopkins Vikings. And just like this, the Maroons are up by 4, and they find that empty gap yet again.
Up by 5.
Just like that, they're up by 5, 9-4 in favor of the visiting Maroons on the scoreboard. At least we've gotten that right so far tonight, Rich. I'm used to saying the homestanding Maroons on the scoreboard.
Right.
But we are the bottom of the bracket, and we are in the Hopkins Gymnasium, so Hopkins is the home team. Maroons, of course, in their visiting white uniforms with Allie Deckinga wearing her blackish gray libero shirt. And the Vikings of Hopkins, as always, in their home standing blue jerseys. And as Rich said before, they have no libero.
So that's really different for Hopkins compared to HC where they have a libero.
And the points awarded to the Vikings.
Yeah, 9-6. Holland Christian, so Hopkins is actually starting to come back a little bit in the third set.
And Rich, you never know. Those third sets could lead to 4 sets, and Coach Binden's walking out to the court, and she's going to take an early timeout on this one. And Coach Laura Binden and the varsity Maroons take their first timeout of set number 3. They will have one remaining.
And that's the weird thing is right there. That's their first timeout of all 3 sets.
And that is the very first timeout of all the sets. So Coach Binden talking it over early with the Lady Maroons. And so, yeah, it's a little interesting coaching strategy by Coach Binden. And once again, you're watching Division II semifinal volleyball district action from Hopkins High School on HCSports and the MHFS Network.
All 3 sets.
And the timeout is over. We're back up. Sit back, relax, and strap it down. The serve is up for the Hopkins Vikings. And the gym gets quiet, and we're underway. So following the timeout, the Vikings had that serve. And the refs are calling 2 hits on the Maroons, and just like that, Coach Terry Weiser and the Vikings bring it within 1 in set number 3. But a great replay. Let's send it over. That's number, trying to see who that was. Could have been a whole host of Maroons, but they got the point, and we're up 10-8. Point going to the Maroons. And they're going to send Allie Deckinga, the libero, back to serve. Rich, one thing I've noticed from our vantage point here at Hopkins High School, all the Maroons look the same up here with the ponytails. I'm just going by numbers up here. So, Deckinga to serve.
Up 12-8. The third set.
So Coach Binden taking that timeout and getting her Maroons back on track. And the point to the Vikings, I'm not sure how that one was awarded, Rich.
It was out of bounds by Holland Christian. That's what the officials are saying.
Perfect. I was not aware of that signal. I was checking a roster number on my computer, and I happened to look down right at the wrong moment. But the Maroons up 12-9. And the flag judge calls that in. The very few, I believe, Holland Christian students over there wanting an explanation from the ref.
It's 13-9. It's Holland Christian point.
Oh, you're right. Holland Christian's on the left side, serving to the right.
Right.
I was just looking at the Maroon platoon because they were saying some stuff. The very few Maroon platoon, I believe, that's over there for HC. And that point is awarded to the Vikings. So the Hopkins Vikings down now by 3. So number 11.
Martin Ossie is in the game. Martin Ossie sets it over to Deckinga. Sling gets it back to your point, Holland Christian.
So Martin Ossie was back to serve, and now we're getting another substitution. Jenna Digraf, number 17, set to serve for the Maroons of Holland Christian. So Digraf had the serve. They got to get it over the net before there are 3 chances. And Hopkins finds that open spot. Natasha Terpstra just came in for the Vikings of Hopkins. And the Maroons still up in set number 3, 14-11. I think that's an out of bounds called against the Maroons. So that will be point to the Vikings. And Rich, I just realized here, should have been looking at this the whole time. The Hopkins staff here printed up some nice official signals for all of us. But the Maroons will take the point, and we'll send it to replay. That is Sadie Weirda over there for the Maroons on that point. Isabel Slink coming back to serve for the Maroons of Holland Christian. And that one keeps fighting. We thought they were out of bounds. And it was outside of the antenna, but the point is given to the Vikings. And it's
it was outside the antenna, but then
15-13.
She hit it over the antenna. So
the Vikings,
yeah.
Hopkins get the serve, and this is another 2-point game for Terry Weiser and the Vikings. But the Maroons will get it over and bring it back within 3.
Emily Voss is in the game for Sarah York.
So Emily Voss ready to set serve, sit back, relax, and strap it down. Serve is up by Emily Voss, and Voss serves it into the net. And another 2-point game for the Vikings of Hopkins. And it's into the net. It's called short.
Adam here. Adam. You can watch it though?
Yeah. I sent him a YouTube link. So he's watching it. He's giving us feedback on what's working.
And who's that serving for the Maroons, Rich? Number 11, Sadie Weirdo.
Yeah.
So they're looking the far side for the Maroons. And the Vikings find the middle. And Coach Binden could be coming out to call a timeout.
Nope. She's telling Andrews break. She's pointing where they're supposed to go.
So number 2, Peyton Nichols in for the Vikings. And Rich, this is another 2-point game, 17-15. And just like that, it's a 1-point game. And set number 3, Rich, I don't think the Vikings have had the lead any of these 3 sets. But a couple more errors from the Maroons, and the Vikings could take set number 3, and we could play 4. And just like that, it's another error called against the Maroons. And we're tied at 17 in the 3rd set, Rich. Coach Weiser still has both timeouts.
That's a shot.
And Coach Binden for the Maroons has 1 timeout. And the Maroons fire back with the power of Boyce.
Out of bounds though. Point. Hopkins.
And Hopkins, Rich, takes the first lead of all 3 sets, I believe.
They actually got a lead in the 2nd set.
You're right. But the Maroons are up, find an empty spot. And just like that, it gives the tie back to the Maroons. And number 3, Allie Deckinga, is up to serve. But first, we have a timeout on the floor called by the Vikings of Hopkins. And head coach Terry Weiser, that is her first timeout of set number 3. She'll have 1 remaining. And your timeout score, the homestanding Vikings 18, the visiting Maroons of Holland Christian 18. You're watching Division II Girls District Volleyball on the NFHS Network and HE Sports Live. Get your pass to watch live streaming video of MHSA Fall Championships on the MHSA.TV website. Lower Peninsula Girls Swimming and Diving, 13 football semifinal games, the girls volleyball semifinals and finals, and other live tournament action leading up to the finals. Sign up for your pass to the finals at MHSAA.TV. And with that horn, we bring you back inside, high above Vikings Gymnasium here in Hopkins High School, between the Maroons of Holland Christian and the Vikings of Hopkins. Dan Tembrink, Rich Nagelkirk alongside our technical director, Mr. Dan Voss. And once again, a very special thank you, Adam Volk, athletic director here at Hopkins High School, as well as their technology director, for getting things up and running. And we're tied at 18 apiece coming out of that timeout. Maroons on the defensive draw, but the Vikings find an empty spot right inside of the net. And they will take the lead by 1 point.
It thanks to Adam Wassing, too.
In
He's
set number
actually
3.
watching it live. Adam is at home, so.
So the Hopkins Vikings get the serve. And the Vikings are up 20-18. Remember, both coaches do have one timeout remaining in this third set.
I think Bendon might call timeout here if they get another point.
This is the closest the Vikings have been.
Yeah.
All sets and matches.
That was number 4 that got that for Hopkins, and it was blocked by Holland Christian.
So Ashley Boltma had the chance there, but blocked by the Maroon defensive unit. Number 4, Anna York, is heading in, replacing Voss. And I believe Lertzma is set to serve for the Maroons. Perfect. So Hannah Lertzma set to serve, but the Vikings of Hopkins still have a 1 point lead in set number 3. And the Vikings want a chance to play a 4th set and potentially a 5th set to potentially play the Hawkeyes of Hamilton right here and win a district championship on their home court on tomorrow night. But right now it's all Maroons leading 2-0. And just like that, head coach Laura Binden of the Maroons of Holland Christian takes their second timeout of set number 3. And you're watching Division II Girls Volleyball Semifinal District Action on the NFHS Network and HC Sports Live. Just a friendly reminder, keep up with everything MHSA on social media. Look us up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube for tournament updates, event announcements, video highlights, and high school sports news from around the state. It's the best way to connect with the MHSAA every day. And with that horn, we welcome you back inside Hopkins High School. After the timeout called by Coach Benden, her second timeout, I almost said the Hawkeyes have the serve, but Hopkins has the serve. And this is a 1 point game in a very close third set for the Maroons of Holland Christian. And they will send in number 17, Jenna Digraph, hopefully to give the Maroons 5 points and finish this game off in 3 sets.
Would be nice, but you never know. That's why they play volleyball.
Exactly. You never know, Rich. It's tournament action time and things can happen. So Natasha Terpstra, number 10, just checks in for the Vikings. The Vikings will have to serve with the 2 point lead in set number 3. And the Maroons find an empty side on the right-hand side.
Let's stand by for a shot for that.
And that was a great replay.
By Weirdo. Or correction, that was Sprick.
So Sprick had it, and the point goes, and it's a 1 point lead still to the Hopkins Vikings. And just like that, the point goes back to the Maroons.
Timeout, Hopkins. This is her second timeout.
So Terry Weiser calls her timeout, and both teams are out of timeouts. Your score at the timeout, 22-22. And that was Coach Weiser's second timeout of the third set. Once again, you're watching Division II District Semifinal action on the NFHS Network and HC Sports Live.
What do you think in this third set, Dan? Do you think HC has a chance to come back, or do you think Hopkins has it?
Well, the Maroons are coming out of the timeout with the serve. And they're sent, that's, I'm believing that's number 5, Isabel Slinkback.
Yep, that's correct.
So if she can keep her serving power going, this is only, and the serve goes out of bounds. I speak too soon, Rich. And the Hopkins Vikings are up by 23-22. The Vikings are 2 points away from taking set number 3. And Rich, for the first time in a long time, 24-22 on an error from the Maroons. And Rich, this might go into a set number 4 or a win by 2 situation.
Yeah, you never know.
I have not seen very many games this season so far for Coach Binden in 4 and 5 sets, other than usually. And the official calls it in, and the Vikings of Hopkins take the third set 25-22. And the current set score is Maroons 2, Hopkins 1. Rich, like I was saying before that last point, I haven't seen very many 4 sets in the Holland Christian career, but Rich, this one's going to 4.
Yeah, that's unusual. I totally agree.
I feel like the only time I've seen this maybe go to 4 or 5 sets is Holland Christian playing the Hamilton Hawkeyes in regular season play, but the Vikings of Hopkins are going to keep this one close, and the set score is 2-1. Recaps of our set scores. Set number 1 went to the Maroons 25-12. Set number 2 went to the Maroons of Holland Christian 25-17. And once again, set number 3 went to the Vikings 25-22. We're going to step away for a quick break. You're watching MHSA Division II Semifinal Girls District Volleyball on HC Sports Live and the NFHS Network. Here are 5 good reasons for multi-sport participation. Multi-sport athletes are more coachable, they have higher athletic callings, become better talent in the long run, they have higher sports IQs, their sports skills transfer, and they are better teammates. Multi-sport participation is cross-training for life. Learn more at the MHSAA website. And don't forget, it's not whether you win or lose, it's how much fun you have after the game. Join us at your local Applebee's wherever you may be watching this broadcast for late night half-price appetizers. That's right, late night half-price appetizers. Applebee's, eating good in the neighborhood, your official restaurant of the Michigan High School Athletic Association, and your post-game hangout of the HC broadcast team of Rich Nagelkirk and Dan Temrink, as well as Holland Christian Athletic Director, Mr. Dave Ingberts. And Rich, probably post-game hangout of Hopkins Athletic Director, Mr. Adam Volk.
That is true. He likes to go there.
I'd go there on late night half-price appetizers any night.
Yeah, when we don't have sporting events.
And I was just about to say, just like that, the horn is off and we're back inside Hopkins High School. Set 3 going to the Hopkins Vikings, so no matter what, if Maroons win this one, it's over and they'll take it 3-1. Or if the Hopkins Vikings take it, that's 2-2. And we play a 5th set, sudden death to 15 to take on the Hawkeyes of Hamilton for a district final right here tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Hopkins up, set to serve. Sit back, relax, enjoy, and Drop it down. It's time for more Division II girls district volleyball action on the yeah, there I go again, Rich. I say it too fast. NFHS Network and HC Sports Live. And while I was talking,
Sullivan Campen is the first time into the game, and she gets to set to serve.
so number 13, Stelvin Campen, Laura Binden going with a little bit of a potential rotation switch going into set number 4. Rich, this is new. This is some new territory for Coach Binden. She's not used to going into 4 sets.
Right.
But like we talked about, this is tournament action, and you never know what could happen. And Rich is going to recap me on what just happened because I was scrolling through to get my next timeout announcement ready.
Sadie Weir gets it over the net to them, and they just hit it, and they went out of bounds. So, point Holland Christian.
And Rich, that's why I have you. Rich is my second set of eyes on this broadcast, and the good news is 2 eyes are better than 1, Rich.
Yep.
But once again, really would like to say a very special thank you to Adam Volk and everyone here at Hopkins High School for the hospitality. And I know our technical director, Dan Voss at HC, worked very hard to get this game going. And just thank you to everyone for making this involved. And we're happy to bring you post-season tournament action on the NFHS Network and HC Sports Live. And for everybody that's watching, hope you're enjoying this volleyball matchup. I know I sure am. And Rich, one thing I didn't mention is thank goodness we're playing in a gymnasium, because when I woke up this morning, there was snow on the ground. And it's only 6 days into November.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But that's the nice thing about fall sports. The end of the season, you go in gyms, and before you know it, it'll be basketball tournament time. But we're not thinking about basketball right now. We're still thinking about volleyball, and that's a point to the Hopkins Vikings. And the Maroons are up by 2. So Natalie McDonald back in for the Vikings on a 4-2 lead for the visiting Maroons of Holland Christian. And a great point by the Maroons. We'll send it to replay on that one. That was Lertzma.
Yep. Decking sets the serve it. She gets it over the net to Hopkins. Boyce sets it to Lertzma. Lertzma gets it over. Tries to get it to Emily Voss, but there was a tip there, so.
So number 2, Peyton Nichols, will send it in for Coach Weiser and the Vikings of Hopkins. But the Maroons are still up by, back in a 3-point lead, right, Rich?
Yep.
6-3.
Yep.
So Ambigel, I'm just going to call her Holtrop, because that's, Rich, that number 8 right there is a big, long name, isn't it?
Yep.
So,
and the Hopkins is trying to get a timeout.
or a rotation check, potentially. Are they saying the Maroons are out of order? Or are they saying the Vikings are out of order? Somebody's asking for a rotation check. And the gyms go super quiet, and Coach Binden's gonna pull her girls in to talk to him. But I don't know if are they gonna charge Coach Binden a timeout?
Timeout now.
So we believe it's a rotation check, but Terry Weiser calls her first timeout of set number 3, set 4, and she'll only have one remaining after having to use that timeout on a, we're not sure if there's a
No,
rotation
it's a rotation check because she's talking to the official.
But she still called one timeout out. So that'll take one timeout away from Coach Weiser, and she'll have only one remaining in set number 4.
Yep.
So Peyton Nichols will head in for the Vikings. And I guess everything comes out clear with the rotation check, so the Maroons will get the serve?
Yep.
All right. So the Maroons got the serve. Who served it up for the Maroons, Rich?
It was Lurchma.
So Lurtzma will maintain the serve. And Rich, you're starting to wonder, will that timeout hurt Coach Weiser in the long coming, as she only has one timeout remaining in set 4?
Right, but you never know.
So the Maroons up 8-3. Still sending back Lurtzma to serve for Holland Christian. Serve is up and in the net. So that will give the serve to the Vikings. Vikings serve up. And that's out of bounds, so possession and the serve and the point will go to the Maroons of Holland Christian.
Mitchell is coming in the game for boys, and Mitchell is going to serve it for Holland Christian. Mitchell sets the serve it. Mitchell gives it over the net to Hopkins. Hopkins gets it back. Decking and tries to get it, but point. Hopkins. Number 8 is coming in the game for
Evangelina Heltrop, according to our announcer here at Hopkins High School, but
out of bounds, Holland Christian.
He says that name a lot, Rich, because this is a homestanding school, so he probably knows how to pronounce their names better than we do, but we're doing our best up here.
Yep.
And the Maroons lead set number 4 by 5 points, and if they win this set, their final score will be 3-1. And the Maroons will advance to the district finals versus their OK Green counterpart, the Hawkeyes of Hamilton, right here tomorrow night at 7 o'clock at Hopkins High School. And the Maroons are looking potentially tomorrow night, if they take on the Hamilton Hawkeyes, to reclaim a win last year and win a district title that they lost last year to the Hamilton, Hopkins, they all start with H. I'll get this eventually. If Maroons play Hamilton, they will look to redeem their loss last year to the Hawkeyes of Hamilton back at Holland Christian when they hosted districts last year to get a district championship. But right now, it's 11-7 in favor of the Maroons. And Hopkins on a scoring streak, looking to send this one to a set number 5. And if they win set number 5, they'd win this, and they would play home districts here tomorrow night versus the Hawkeyes of Hamilton. So it's still anybody's ball game. The Maroon faithful out here in full force at Holland Christian High School, as well as the homestanding Vikings fans. And the Maroons get the point, 12-7.
Stelman Campbell sets the serve it. Van Campen sets the serve, gets it over.
We're going to send that back to the replay for the serve by a great serve by Stelvin Campen to give the Maroons of Holland Christian the point. And the Maroons get the point yet again. And it's 14-7. And Rich, I'm starting to wonder, will Coach Terry Weiser take that final timeout?
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Because remember, she used an early one on that rotation check, but
Out of bounds.
so Hopkins will get the serve. And we have a substitution for the Maroons, Rich.
Emily Voss is actually in the game for Holland Christian.
Rich, what happened on that point?
I have no idea. I never saw that move.
So 14-9 in favor of the Vikings. And a great point in attack by the Maroons. And Rich is trying to find the official signal on that call.
It is not in there.
So we are not exactly sure what it is.
I just checked in the ruling. It's not in there.
What?
I just checked in the ruling. It's not in there. That call.
So the Maroons will have to serve.
Hands like that?
Right.
I don't know what she was calling.
And the point goes to the Vikings, and this is a 5-point ball game. Rich, this is getting too close for comfort.
Yeah, it is, but you never know. I think HC has potential yet, but you never know.
So great execution by the Maroons. I think
6-point cushion now.
so. They're going to send back Allie Deckinga to serve for the Maroons. And that was a great point by the Maroons of Holland Christian. So now we have a 7-point cushion.
8-point cushion.
So hopefully, Rich, the Maroons can finish this off and take the final set.
It'd be nice to see that, but you never know. There's a lot of volleyball to go yet.
Yes, there is. And Coach Weiser is going to take that final timeout of set number 4.
I would at that point.
And she'll have none remaining. Coach Binden will have 2. And we're going to step aside for maybe one more quick 1-minute break. You're watching Division II Girls District Volleyball semifinal action on the NFHS Network and HE Sports Live. Discover a whole new way to treat the whole athlete with the leading sports medicine team in Michigan, the Henry Ford Health System. At our new Center for Athletic Medicine, you'll get the same care the pros do. Henry Ford Health System, all for you. And with that horn, we welcome you back inside the gymnasium here at Hopkins High School for Division II Girls District Semifinal Volleyball action between the homestanding Vikings And the visiting Maroons, Dan Semmering, alongside Rich Nagelkirk, Dan Voss, our technical producer here on the NFHS Network and HC Sports Live. And the Maroons are a couple points away from winning this contest, but the Hopkins Vikings keep sneaking back. Once again, a friendly reminder, your current set score is Holland Christian 2 sets to the Hopkins 1 set. And it's 19-12 now in favor of the Hopkins Vikings. And Rich, they're creeping back. So that was a good idea for Coach Terry Weiser to take the timeout. And the Maroons will get an out-of-bounds point. And it'll be 20-12 in favor of the Maroons. So the Maroons send in number 7, Taylor Steikstra.
Lerchman sets the serve it.
And 5 more points send these Maroons to the district finals right here at Hopkins High School versus their counterpart in the OK Green, the Hawkeyes of Hamilton High School. But Rich, I hear the cheering coming, and that's a point to the Vikings, and they get the set to serve. So the Vikings fighting with all the power they can to get into this game, to push back and play a 5th set. Right now the Maroons are just 5 short points away, and now 4 short points away from sending them to the district championship versus the Hawkeyes, who defeated the Wildcats of Wayland in our game prior to this contest 3-0 in typical Hamilton Hawkeye faction under head coach and our good friend James Michaelichek. So the Vikings not giving up on their home court. They want to see this home court yet again tomorrow night. But this might be the last time these Lady Vikings see this gymnasium, as their season might come to an end in just a few short points. And we can tell the Maroons will be playing volleyball potentially yet again and continue to play tomorrow night versus the Hawkeyes of Hamilton. So out of bound. Maroons on the struggle to go get it. And Holtrop will take the serve. Helderop, will take the serve for the Vikings. Vikings smash it down. They find the middle gap. And Rich, they're sneaking into point territory, 15-22.
I think Maroons still have it, but you never know.
That's why you play the game of volleyball in MHSA tournament action, right, Rich?
Right.
And with that, the Maroons are 2 points away. We'll send it to replay. And who's serving over there for the Maroons?
Slink.
Isabel Slink. Maroons need 2 points to set this one away here from Hopkins High School.
1 point away. Sadie Weir gets that.
We're going to send it to replay. Sadie Weir with the 1 point lead. And if the Maroons can finish it off here, the Maroons will take it 3-1 and have a rematch of last year's district championship game from Holland Christian between the Hawkeyes and the Maroons. And that's it. Your final score in set number 4, Holland Christian 25, the Hopkins Vikings 15. And a thank you, seniors, coming from the Hopkins student section, as Coach Terry Weiser and the varsity Vikings will finish their season here from the Vikings Gymnasium. And the Maroons of Holland Christian are set. Once again, tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, back here at Hopkins High School, between the Maroons of Holland Christian and the Hawkeyes of Hamilton. Once again, a quick recap of your set scores. Set 1, 25-12 in favor of the Maroons. Set 2, Holland Christian 25, Hopkins 17. Set number 3, Hopkins 25, Holland Christian 22. And set number 4, Holland Christian 25 and Hopkins 15. From all of us here at HC Sports Live, Dan Voss, Rich Nagelkirk, and Dan Tembrink, once again, your final score, the Maroons of Holland Christian 3, the Vikings of Hopkins 1. Thanks for watching Division II, a semifinal volleyball on the NFHS Network and HC Sports Live. And as always, go Maroons. Good night, everyone.